Fuck, I'm writing this down.
All right. So today's show, guys. Today is Wednesday, July 5th. Hope you all had a safe 2000. I don't know why I even started with that. Had a safe 4th of July.
2004th of July.
Yeah. And we're coming up with a game here that Danny has morphed into. How many things does he have to say?
5. Just 5. You're
brutal,
the one
dude.
who gave me that example.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, but that was a whole Q&A. That was like a 30-minute Q&A where you had to say.
All right. 2 things. I picked one, you picked the other.
You picked what, a banana?
Yes.
All right, you got to say, do I look like I have crocodile skin?
I think yours is harder.
That is hard.
All right, so George is
By the
coming
way,
right now, and
I
Cody's
have
got
no
to mix
music for
these.
today.
Nice. Cody's got to mix these answers in somehow in George's interview.
Hey, how are you?
Should be a fun show today, guys. We have a lot of listeners in studio. Amir from Chicago, Alex from Chicago, Showtime from Tennessee.
Coming up at 10.
They're coming up from all over for International Fight Week.
Fat week.
Fat Week.
Do I look like I have crocodile skin? That's going to be tough.
This is
Tough
your
like a
captain
crocodile
speaking.
skin.
We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Go. This is what we do and why we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes. Our ace co-host sitting to my right, of course, is Cody Stamann. But I forgot, our producer back east, Danny. What's up, Danny? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
All goods in your hood?
All good.
All right, good to hear. Cody, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Let me have you put your mic up.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Good. That's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
Are you doing like 3 of those and then
No.
you downsize?
Just one a day. Just one a day.
Just one a day?
Yeah.
Isn't that the trick, though? 3 of those, and then you downsize to where you trick the body?
It's basically like you like trickle down. You know, every day you drink a little bit less water and kind of trick your body into letting a little more water go. That's the kind of the concept behind the water loading.
There is such thing as like water poisoning, right? If you have too much.
I have heard that.
I think I had it happen to me one time.
Yeah?
Because I was going through one a day, and I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to try it too. And I think I didn't eat enough or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was actually the day that we met Marissa about coming on SiriusXM.
Oh, wow.
And I was at the Venetian, shaking, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. I was getting dizzy. And I talked to a nurse, and she told me, she goes, I think you drink too much water without eating a lot. So you can do that.
What a banana.
Yeah.
I had it once outside of a strip club in Tijuana. I went and grabbed a hose and drank some water, and for some reason I got sick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal's over there. Bottled water only in Mexico. Cody, welcome to MMAjunkie Radio. Sorry that we're greeting you with 110-degree weather.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've stayed inside most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of downtime in the hotel, obviously, but honestly, before fights, even Vegas, anywhere, I like to walk around, get out, move around. So I have been wandering around quite a bit, and I think the heat.
No plastics though, right? Just
no. Yeah, just
walking
around, tank top, t-shirt, sometimes no t-shirt. It's actually helping with a weight cut.
Like the Team Alpha Male guys? You like to walk around with no shirt?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not walking down the strip. You're not going to see me walking down the strip flexing for everyone or anything like that, you know. But yes, sometimes I'll just get out and get a little sun by the pool.
Yeah.
I do take my shirt off by the pool.
You know, one time I saw Paulo Thiago. This is like 8-10 years ago. We've been doing the show for 10 years. Closer to 8. And he was sunbathing here at the Mandalay Bay. We have a beach.
That was
the
UFC
fights
100,
were here.
I think.
Yeah, the fights were here. And he had the tanning lotion on. And, I mean, it looked like a day at the beach.
Yeah.
And I wondered, like, I mean, everybody knows their body the best. But I just wondered, like, is he depleting himself a bit much? Like, do you just go out there and maybe get a little sun for 15 minutes, 30 minutes? I mean, it looked like he's set up for the day. He was cooking himself.
Think about where he comes from, though, right?
He does come from Brazil. I get that, but still, man, this desert, you know.
I think it's all
out of you
what your body's used to. If you do that all the time, if you're out in the sun all the time, it probably doesn't affect you very much. But if you never go out in the sun and you decide that you're going to sit out for 4 hours, 2 days before your fight, it's probably not a good idea.
What other ways do you relax? Are you a video? Are you like a gamer or?
Yeah, you know, normally before fights.
Social media guy. What do you do?
I'm on social media. I'm watching Netflix. I'm just hanging out. You know, I've got a few guys with me, so you know we just hang out in the hotel, whatever.
Recommend a good movie to me for Netflix. Something out of the box though. Don't come with the traditional.
Netflix. Oh, jeez, I haven't been on Netflix in a
while. Like we've all seen Narcos, so throw that one out. But have you seen Narcos?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, where you been?
I haven't.
That's a great series. There's 2 seasons out.
Well, it's like a western. It's like a western series, and for the life of me, I can't think of the name of it right now. I watched it.
On Netflix.
Westworld or something.
It's about the railroad. No. It's on Netflix.
You like it, huh?
It's real good.
Train robberies and shit like that.
A little bit, but it's more about like how they built the intercontinental the railroad.
I could get into that.
To California.
Did you guys know? Fun fact here. If I'm not mistaken, the railroads are what created time zones for the United States.
Really?
Yeah. Now, how they correlate, I don't know. But I remember in history taking a nap and then, like, lifting my head when he said it and thinking, for real? You know, or whatever. And he gave an explanation. It just always kind of stayed with me. But once we had built, like what Cody's saying, the Trans-American type of rail system, it also brought to light, I guess, time zones.
No, I didn't know that.
Excuse me. Maybe it had to do with we're leaving at this time, we're arriving at that time. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, perhaps, I don't know, but yeah. So if it hits you, maybe let Jason know, and then he'll let us know. But now let me throw one your way, all right? Like, do you want me to shut up and talk about fighting, or do you like talking about other stuff?
Talk about whatever you want.
All right, cool. I just want to make sure I want to make sure that you're not thinking like, come on, man. I want to tell everyone how I'm knocking Ware out or subbing Ware out.
I want to tell everyone how badass I am.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so check this out. Narcos. You got to watch it.
Is it that good? You're not the first person that told me that. I heard it's really good.
Who told you that?
A few other people. I think my buddy Darren watched it. He liked it a lot.
It's so good that if you start watching it today, you may binge so much that you forget there's a fight on Saturday. You might miss the fight. It's that good.
I could
see that. That's the idea. I liked watching the Netflix shows because it's like a distraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here's the thing,
don't
though.
really worry about anything.
Two seasons,
you have
10
to pay
episodes.
attention because it's in a lot of it's subtitled, right? They're speaking in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's worth it.
It is, man. So what it is Pablo Escobar, a drug kingpin from like late 80s to early 90s, who was as big as they get. He was basically, it talked about how he rose to being, you know, the world's most powerful man, or bad guy, I guess, and all the way until he was being hunted down by not just Colombia, but the United States as well. So it's based on facts, and who knows if they tail off into a couple little fictional subplots.
Right.
But like, it's got really, really good action, and you know, I mean, I think most people like bad guy type stories, so this is the ultimate, really. But literally, anybody we talk to anywhere all over the world, whether they've heard of them or not, they've given me the type of feedback like, that was awesome.
Like that was, yeah. It's that good. I don't have to watch it.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one.
You seen Stranger Things?
No.
All right, I would like to recommend Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
It's shorter. I think it's only 8 episodes, and they've only had 1 season. So you'll be in time, I think in November or October is the 2nd season. You'll be good to go.
That's sweet. Yeah, I'll check them both out.
What, if you weren't fighting, what would you be doing?
I'd be on a camping trip.
Oh,
yeah, so I booked a camping trip a few weeks ago. for
not
like
just
a week.
not just Saturday, but like as a career. Let's say you weren't an MMA athlete.
So my parents own a restoration business, and throughout the past, since I was probably 16 years old, I've worked for the family business, which is like restoration, construction type stuff.
I was thinking like cars. Okay, so what do you restore?
like
we restore like buildings.
Oh wow.
Like older buildings, like older brick buildings mainly. We do epoxy flooring. We do all kinds of stuff.
Does the family support you? Like, go get him, man, or are they like, come on, cut it out already, get back to the business? The family business.
Honestly, I think my dad has always wanted me to kind of like put fighting on the back burner and really work more. But at the same time, he's never ever discouraged me from training and chasing this dream. He's always wanted me to do this, and he realizes that it's something that I have to do. I put a lot of time and effort into it. So they've been nothing but supportive. They're coming out. They'll be here Friday. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he's there fist bumping, like, good job. I mean, it's not like he holds it against you or nothing like that.
Yeah, he's really proud. No, he's not like that. He's a good dude.
Can you play off of that? Like, can you say, I'm here to restore order in the UFC? I'd just be the restoration guy.
I could.
You could do it. By the way, the show you're talking about is, one of our listeners says it's Hell on Wheels. Is that it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Hell on Wheels.
That's it.
And he says it's really good.
It's a series or a movie?
It's a series.
All right, I'm gonna watch it.
You need to watch it.
Yeah. Now, granted, if it sucks, you're gonna hear about it. Come on, man. Why'd you waste my time? And then you can do the same thing with me with Narcos.
Okay.
And if we both succeed, then obviously we start to grow our credit. You know. So then if I throw another one your way, you're like, hey, I gotta take it because he was spot on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
George, for you, another listener says you are 100% correct about railroads establishing 4 time zones.
So I was, huh?
Yeah.
And I imagine we started it, and then it led to a global.
That would
okay.
Yeah. We set the standard.
We did set the standard. All right. So you would be in the family business if you weren't a fighter. And how long ago did you know you were going to be a fighter? Was it the UFC or another MMA organization that inspired you? Or like, when did you know, like, that's my career destiny?
It was never really I can't really say I had a time when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be MMA fighter. I want to be a professional MMA fighter. I make this my career. It was more or less I'd wrestled most of my life, like most guys that end up here. I boxed through high school, and so I was a good amateur boxer. I was a wrestler. And then, I went from competing in, boxing, wrestling, football, playing all these sports to absolutely nothing, going to school, and I was just going crazy. I'd been a competitor, for sports since I was, 8 years old, and then I just had nothing. And my mom actually recommended that I go check out MMA. She's like, you box, you wrestled? Like, why not? This could be a good thing.
Your mom?
Yeah, my mom.
Nice.
She knows, like, I need that outlet. I need, especially, having done it my whole life. So she suggested that.
Some tells me she's been to the principal's office a couple times to account for
maybe
some indiscretions. Okay, I got it.
I'm a man of principles. Once you cross the line, you're getting swung on. There's really there's not a lot of conversation there.
Oh, that's gonna lead into another question I have upcoming. But so she recommended it. You went, checked out a gym.
Yep.
And what was the first? I mean, was it actually jiu-jitsu or punching someone or like do you remember a moment where you said, oh my god, this is it?
It was the workouts. I mean, it was a combination. It was the workouts. I felt like I was back in that like competitive atmosphere that I'd been in most of my life. And I trained for a couple months, and there was an opportunity to fight, and I was like, yeah, what the hell, I'll do it. Why not? Wow. And so I fought, and I knocked the guy out in like 7-8 seconds. Like I literally, like, I was terrified. I was in the cage like, oh god, I can't. I shouldn't have done this. This is really stupid. And I just like ran across the cage, like didn't know to touch gloves. I hadn't really watched much MMA. The ref said go. I was like, okay. I ran across the cage, hit the guy one time, and he fell. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Left hook, huh?
I want to do this again. I want to do this again. And
did you climb on the fence and.
I honestly had no idea what to do afterwards. I kind of just stood there.
You were in total shock.
I stood there and looked around like, okay, cool.
What did you get paid for that first fight? Do you remember?
Zero. It was an amateur fight.
It was an amateur.
Michigan,
okay.
Yep. So I fought 20 times as an amateur.
20?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
All the time. I mean, one time I fought twice in one night. And Michigan is like the Wild West. You could do whatever you wanted. It was like the heyday of MMA. Like a lot of guys talk about that. And like Michigan was really like that. There's no governing body on the amateur fighting scene. So you could fight anyone anytime. Actually, I can't think of the guy's name, but I think his name is like Raul Cruz. He's a professional, and I fought him like my 3rd amateur fight, and he came up to Michigan basically because he was coming off an injury and he wanted to like
sneak in an amateur fight.
Yeah, get like a tune-up fight and then go back. You know what I mean?
Did you tune him up?
That was a tough night for him. But no, it was like I was in a fight, you know, like as a young amateur against a guy that was a professional. He was clearly better than me. I just refused to quit. I guess I got lucky too. I caught him with a good knee, and dropped him. I think it kind of like he was kind of out.
It's starting to become my favorite technique because I've been watching a lot of Yoel Romero tape. And that guy's so money at it.
The timing is what's insane.
Yeah.
It is, and how high he gets, and like literally, I mean, if you look at Weidman right before that exchange, I mean, you know, of course, these guys are taking a little bit of damage, but just what that knee did to him, you know, as they're standing there and the referee's getting ready to present Yoel as the winner, and you can just see damage that he took from that one knee. But what a unique story, because, you know, there's a lot of fighters that we talk to who their moms will, not come to the fight, or, you know, in anywhere, be present, front row, in the stadium. We've seen, you might remember who it was. I don't, but in Mandalay Bay, there was a lady that was in the elevator. She didn't even want to hear the roar of the crowd. Who was it? Do you remember? We were going up to...
Was that Evan Denham's family?
I can't remember, but I remember she didn't even want to hear the roar of the crowd, but that's when her son was fighting. She didn't want to go by because you know how sometimes on the concourse the TVs will show? So that's how nervous she was. So at least she was willing to go to the stadium, but she backed out when her son was fighting. Some don't even want to travel to the city. Some don't even want to watch it live. Some don't even want to watch it till the son calls and says, son or daughter, calls and says, I won, or this happened, and then they do it. And here, your mom steered you towards it, and she'll be here for the fights on Saturday at UFC 213.
My mom knows I'm a dirty motherfucker, so yeah, she's there. She's there.
That's funny. All right, listen. So we're running out of time. I do like to ask each of our in-studio guests. If this was a phone thing, I wouldn't do it. In studio, I would just like to do it. Can you share a good street fight story with us?
Oh, yeah, actually I can. Maybe I have one or two.
Okay. Well, share two if you have two.
There was one in particular, one fight. It was me and a couple of my friends.
This was in the mean streets of Michigan?
The mean streets of Michigan. It wasn't a place that you normally get in a fight, but we showed up and...
Were you at the library?
No, we showed up to like a house party, and we showed up with a couple girls. Walked in. Basically, one drunk guy, best friend of the guy that lived at the house, you know, told us, like, yeah, you get the hell out, girls can stay, kind of thing. And we were like, yeah, fuck you, like, kind of walked by him, and he pushed me, and I was like, all right, you know, we're just gonna leave. So we walked out, and then they followed us outside, and you know, I maybe knew 5 people at this party. There were probably 150 people there. He followed us outside, and I kind of gave my friend a look, like, you know, can I hit this guy? And he was like, no. And as we're walking away, like, he throws a beer can at me, right? Anyways, and like whizzes by my head. And I turn around and look at him again. I'm like, you know, can I hit this guy? And he's like, okay, yeah, go. So I turned around, I ran at him. I hit him, and as soon as I did, it was like people were coming out of the door like the sea, and we ended up in this fight where it was like, it was us 3 against a million guys. We all got, I mean, I was hitting everyone that was relatively, you know, near me. You know, my buddy, one of my buddies got dropped. I got my shirt ripped off. They took my phone, my wallet. I lost my shoes. We were all busted up. We put a few kids.
You held them off until you could, but then it was the numbers game, right?
Yeah, I mean, we all walked out on our 2 feet. A few kids went to the hospital. You know, I didn't hit them. Maybe, I mean, I'm pretty sure they fell on the way out, but it was a mess. I mean, this is really the only like real fight. I mean, it lasted like 3 minutes, and it was just nonstop, like throwing punches, kicking guys. It was wild. It was fun.
Damn.
Do you want to see?
That's a good one.
I actually came across a fight yesterday on Facebook. I don't know if this is something that's been passed around a lot.
So I can turn around here.
But when I saw this dude, I couldn't believe it. Let me make this a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen this?
Yeah. Have you seen this one, Cody? I don't want to ruin it, but keep an eye. Here they come. Here they come. Boom!
He drop kicked him.
And the guy they were beating up gets up
and he
starts to beat one of the guys that saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, here they come again. Here they come again.
Holy shit. Those guys are no joke.
Yeah. Heroes.
He bailed
superheroes.
Oh, wow.
And
one more time. Here they come.
So the guy that's getting beat up.
Watch him. He's going to get up. And then I guess maybe he's so rocked all of a
Oh,
sudden.
he smokes the guy.
Yeah, and that guy's thinking,
Wow.
bitch, I just tried to help you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Insane, right?
that's a great story, man. And you know, you showed restraint because you said he pushed you, and you're like over it. You kept going in the party. Then you said, "Let's get out of here." And I'm thinking, wow, like early on you were talking about principles and principalities, so I thought for sure you were dropping them right away. But
yeah, no,
you showed some restraint.
I mean, we were hanging out. We were hanging out with girls. We just wanted to have a good time, and it ended up being a complete mess. Obviously, things didn't work out with the girls that night because we were all busted up.
Yeah.
I mean, they were terrified.
You got street cred, though.
After what happened, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, we didn't get messed with a lot after that.
Well, listen, man, it's really, really nice to meet you. Is there anything you want to promote, in terms of anybody that's helped you get to this point in your career, a shout-out, or your social media? Go right ahead.
I have a lot of people to thank. My family, my friends, all my teammates back at Michigan Top Team. My management at Rhythm Sports, Jason House. There's a lot of people that got me here, and I'm really thankful to have so many good people in my corner. It was bound to happen. At 14-1, and with the team that I have, I knew that I would be here, and I'm just trying to take this all in and really enjoy it. Enjoy my debut, and have a good time.
No doubt. And Cody's going to be fighting Terrion Ware on the prelims. It's the UFC Fight Pass starting at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, this is on Saturday's UFC 213 card. That's headlined by Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. You can follow him on Twitter at Cody Stamann. Did I say that right, Stamann?
That's right.
All right. CODYSTAMANN. Thank you again, sir, for doing the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
Folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Rob Font, also fighting on the UFC 213 card. He's fighting, get this, the Brazilians goes, you know how they roll. They got like 5 names. Douglas Silva de Andrade. So, yeah, he should just go by Doug, right?
His name's Douglas.
You see the soccer players, the Brazilian soccer players, they just say like, Doug, Hulk, Marco. Like, they just put one name. This guy's going with 4. But regardless, we're going to talk to Rob Font when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Cody Stamann in the house. Okay, but
They pat down TSA agents because they don't know where those people have been, and because they can. They are Gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Saturday night at 6 Eastern on Sirius XM Rush 93, it's UFC 213 Pre-Fight Live. After shocking the world and defeating Ronda Rousey at UFC 207, Amanda Nunes returns to the octagon to defend her UFC Women's Bantamweight title in a rematch against Valentina Shevchenko. Join MMA analysts Ryan McKinnell and Danny Acosta as they host SiriusXM's UFC 213 Pre-Fight Live Saturday at 6 Eastern on SiriusXM Rush 93 and on the SiriusXM app. Want to welcome to the show Rob Font. What's up, Rob? How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Man, we had you on the show many times via the phone. Now we finally get to meet you in person.
No, we had him here, but the studio looked a lot different, didn't it, back then?
Definitely. The last, my debut was out here July 2014.
The old broom closet studio.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, good to see you.
Definitely.
And I love watching you fight.
Appreciate it, man.
You really have some skills, some athleticism, some footwork, some head movement. You know, you're not just lumbering out there. You're I don't want to say like a ballet dancer or whatever, but you ever hear?
I'll take it.
You ever hear Dana White say Anderson Silva's like an artist?
Yeah.
So a few of you guys out there float like butterflies, sting like bees. You know, just kind of have that artistry to you.
I appreciate
it. And I noticed
man.
you have those type
it,
of
man.
skills.
Definitely, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Now is that something like as a kid? You just
I always felt like
took to all of these different sports and martial arts that
even like playing baseball, football. I wasn't like the brute guy. It was more of just the finesse guy, trying to outsmart guys, trying to move better than most guys. But just wasn't the guy that's gonna run head on. That's gonna try to get around you, know. So I feel like I try to bring that to this, and you know, try to outsmart people, try to out technique guys, and
like that chess match.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but it's a weird balance because sometimes you know you gotta be that guy. You know, you down on that third round, you gotta take all that away and just be that guy. Just go forward and just try to kill.
But do you ever get in that mode though, where when you get hit, everything just changes? Anybody ever kind of get under your skin a little bit?
Yeah. Especially like when I was first coming up, like I would like get jabbed and I would just get mad, like. Especially like amateurs, I would get mad and just start throwing bombs, and like that's not me in the gym. It's not me naturally. Then I have to calm down and then pull it back together. But
that's the wires pulling down on. Can you fix that, George? See the wire is actually that's what's pulling down his mic.
Here. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, perfect.
All right. So, if somebody invited you to their wedding, would you be one of the best dancers at that wedding?
No. I mean, I got a little two-step, but I'm definitely not like a performer. You know, I'm not gonna.
It's not anything like that, like a break dancer or parkour or just light on your feet, pick things up quickly.
Yeah, I got some rhythm, but I'm definitely not gonna steal the show. Not that guy.
Yeah, that's right. Now I remember it was Weidman and Machida, huh? Okay. All right. Rob Font is fighting at UFC 213, just like our previous guest, Cody Stamann, and he's got Douglas Silva G. Andrade. Hard to talk smack to him because you can't even. You have to stumble through his name. But how about this guy? 24-1.
Man, look at that last name.
He does. You got to just call him Doug. You know what I mean?
Doug.
Right. 24-1. Where do they find some of these guys, and where do some of these guys build up these records? You know, you start to look.
He has like a boxing record, man. I don't know. Like you don't see records like that too often.
You start to look. Look, here's an opponent right here. Dennis Pitbull. 0-3 was Dennis. I started doing that yesterday. And there's just a couple where let's see what this guy is. Zhao, 1-4.
Oh, there you go.
So like it reminds me a little bit of boxing where they build that record up. Now some guys might be legit. Like Thomas Almeida, same thing. It was like 21-0 when he was coming over to the UFC, and I was like, what? And there was some tomato cans there, but obviously he proved that he's no joke. I mean, Barao was another guy. So. Do you study these guys? Like, how far back do you even bother before you go, honestly, this is about the point where he was legit and UFC worthy?
I kind of, I've only watched his UFC fights. I don't like to go back to all the old ones. I kind of really just watched his debut and the last one against Henry. But I try not to watch too much video. Tyson Chartier usually watches a lot. He'll put together an email with like details on what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and have like links to the videos. I'll watch like maybe the first 3 minutes of each video, kind of gauge them, and then just kind of stop. And then it's just like I don't want to wrap my head around what.
Worry more about yourself than worry about him.
I've done it before. I'll sit there and I watch this, and I was expecting things to come out the way it just never does, because obviously everybody's always evolving and all that. So, but it's funny. I'll say that, but when I got the debut, because I was supposed to fight him for my debut fight. I watched a lot of video on him, so I knew exactly who he was. But then when I got the call again, I was like, all right, good. I know exactly what we got to do. We had a game plan. We adjusted a little bit. But after that, I was like, I'm cool. I watched maybe, I'm not going to say I'll never watch any video, but I'll watch maybe 3 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm cool, and I stop watching it.
He's got 3 UFC fights. Do you do that for every opponent? Or say if we would have had 8, would you have gone back and watched 8?
I try to watch the last 2 usually.
Last
the
2
last
for everyone?
fights. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you just try to watch the last 2. I feel like you go anywhere, keep
But
going.
at least there's some familiarity. You know, there's some that swear to us they don't watch anything.
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm wondering, is that smart?
couldn't
Like,
do that.
I've heard more from great fighters that we've talked to that have said they have studied a little bit, picked up a tendency or two, or just to get familiar with.
I just the film.
So I like what you're saying. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then I'm good. But at least there's
what
something.
He's doing, like moving around, like something. But I would have to call bluff on like a lot of people say they can't watch anything because you watch fights at least you at least see them fight one time, you know. So like I actually watched that Henry fight live. I'm not live, but on TV. So like I've seen him fight before.
I would imagine that's got to be one of the weirdest feelings if you do prepare for a guy and he comes out and does nothing. What you saw on tape. You remember when you would take a test as a kid? You read all night, every chapter, and then you come and you go, "That's it."
Right.
It would be hard to go back and do it again.
If you're not adjusting fast and quick, it could be a tough night for you, you know. So I try not to sit there and break down. If he does this, that left hand comes down, we do this and then it's just for that. If you're thinking too much, it's never gonna happen, and before you know, you're losing the fight.
Now, do you remember about a year ago, 6 months ago, when Fabricio Verdum and Brown fought for the second time?
Was that?
Do you watch all the fights?
Was that
kind
in Cleveland?
of
That was in Cleveland.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was in Cleveland.
And then I remember he came out and just kicked him in the neck.
Yeah.
Do you ever think of that, like when you start to expect the unexpected, or do you feel like there may be a touch of gloves or a little bit of a circle before the engagement?
I always once I kind of touch, I always take at least a step back and circle to my right or left or whatever. But I always try like and then kind of get back because, you never know. I think it was one recently not too. I forgot who it was, but somebody just touched and he just hit him with a right hand. I'm like, it's dirty, but it's not illegal.
It's not against the rules, but you're right. It'd be like one of those where it's dirty. We all talk shit, but then you know what? We forget about it, and he keeps his win bonus, the W. The other guy gets the loss, may get cut.
Exactly.
So much, repercussions.
So it's funny though. I have said that I'm not gonna do it, but then once he raises his hand, I'm like, I don't. I still kind of touch, but I'm like, some people don't touch at all, and it's just like. And I've said it like, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna do that. Man up, be the man in there, and then I'm touching, But
you gonna touch on Saturday?
More probably.
Yeah.
I might reach out and give it to him.
It'd be funny if he did it and you go like this. Just wave the finger.
I should just touch him and hit him with a right hand. Right?
Again, you're within the rules, but the street cred might go down a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
My mom probably won't be too happy with me. But
do you feel like from 2014 to 2016? It wasn't a full 2 years, but you had some time off. Did that? I mean, you've come back since then.
Yeah.
But did that hurt you at all? Your momentum with the matchmakers, or are they?
I don't.
Because there was a lot of hype.
Honestly, Mark wanted another year before we got in. So we got the call. He was like, he's kind of like, give me one more year with him. So it was like, but obviously we took the fight, and then when the injury happened, it was like, all right, well, hey, it kind of worked out. Now let's just get better. It's like you either sit around complaining, crying all day, or we get better, and we did. And took the time off, got a lot better with as far as like the finishing touches on the ground and wrestling and stuff like that. And always trying to have that plan B, plan C game plan. Obviously we want to go out there and try to strike, but shit doesn't happen. Sorry, if it's not working
you can
out.
Say shit.
Oh, all right, cool. If it's not working out, we got to mix it up, take them down, and that's what we've really been working on, trying to put it all together.
Are you a foresight type of guy where you not only worry about Douglas Silva, DeAndre, but you worry about the contenders and what may be next and what card you want to be on, and around what time do you want to strike for a possible title shot?
I try not to, but I do. Like when especially like I said, I watch a lot of the fights, especially the 35ers, and I see, okay, that'd be awesome if I did this, fought him. There's a card this day. It could be if I can time it right, it'd be perfect. I can do that, but then it's like slow down, stop. You got this fight in front of you. Let's win this fight, and then we'll do that. We go from there.
Because I'm hearing Cody versus TJ in New York. That's when they're gonna redo
TV
that
in
one.
New York. Okay.
And that's in November.
I was so mad about
so that's
that
like
fight, man.
that it got taken apart.
Yeah, so bad. Like,
I know. Me
is,
too.
is there any like update on Cody's back?
Well, he said no. One of them, I think he said October, and the UFC said November, or vice versa. But I'm hearing that that's when they may rebook that one. And so I'm thinking, like, you know, after beating Douglas, Da Silva, D'Andrade, maybe working your way towards a New York card, and
I'm right down the
maybe
street
looking
from
and
it,
see who are the bantamweights that are from New York, and getting a little Boston, New York thing going, getting on the same card as the champ. I think that's how I would do it if I was a fighter.
I like Vegas though. I love Vegas. Vegas been good to me. I feel like it's real easy here.
MSG though.
Yeah, but I'm hearing a lot of complaints about the commission, and it's like it's not.
That's
smooth,
a good point.
You know
I'm hearing that a lot.
I'm hearing like a lot. I'm like, what, really? Like seriously? Like, so I don't really want to like. I mean, obviously, if I get the fight, I'm going to take it. But like, I like Vegas. I feel like it's smooth. Like right when we get off the plane, it's like they've done this a million times. Like from the drop off, the hotel, the check, even dealing with the people at the hotel, they've done it a million times. So like everything is smooth.
They're number 2.
Smooth. Say it again?
Is there a number 2 after Vegas?
Boston.
Yeah.
Hopefully, hopefully they come
Any
back
word
to
about them going back there?
I haven't heard anything.
I've always been surprised that they don't go there more often.
Yeah.
They
usually come back at the beginning of the year, usually January. They didn't do it last year, but
that's when it's cold though. Who wants to go when it's cold?
Everybody, man. It's
yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful. They plow the streets. It's nice. You see the nice crystals. It's nice and white. It's beautiful.
So when you wake up, you're hoping it just snowed, so that you have to.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I hate it. I
was gonna say
it's tough. Like
all the layers of clothing, possible snow shoveling.
It's tough, man. Shoveling, walking through the snow. Your feet are cold. It's wet. It gets tough, but it's
a lot of East Coast transplants eventually come out to the West, and then they go, I'm never coming back because of that.
No, see the thing, I'm originally from Florida. Like I'm originally from Tampa, Florida. So like I went from Florida up north, so it was tough.
How long ago was that?
2009. 2009, yeah.
All right.
End of 2009, beginning of 2010.
The Northeast is home now, or do you think you would eventually come back to a warmer climate?
I think so. I think Northeast is home. I love Boston, the Massachusetts area.
How about? Tell me why. Like, what do you like about Boston?
As far as the weather, I do like the changes of the season.
Changes of the season, okay. People, are they cool?
Yeah, everybody's cool. Everybody's relaxed. To be honest, like I just see like I'll get in trouble in Florida. It's just too much to do all the time. There's always a party on every single day. There's a bar open. There's the beaches is too much. Boston's
what part of Florida?
Tampa, Florida.
Tampa?
Yeah.
Tampa was cool. We've been to Tampa.
You did. I didn't go.
You didn't go to
I didn't make it
was,
to.
It was chill, but it seemed like at night.
I'm telling you, like Monday night you have like a full on like. Pretty sure it's like in Vegas. Like Monday night, there's something to do every single night. From Monday to Sunday, something to do. Like ridiculous. It's too much for me, you know. And that's Tampa. Then you got Orlando, a little bit north, and obviously Miami, and then Daytona. All that. It's like everything's like at least a 4-hour drive away from trouble. So.
But that was you 9 years ago, aren't you? Like a little bit more chill, Rob Font now.
In fight camp, in fight camp, and like get like a little week or two. Hang out, then my girlfriend grabs me by the neck and puts me back in the house.
Scruff of your neck like a cat.
Hey, get over here, get your ass back in the gym. Let's
like
go.
A cat.
When you, the last time you were here, what would you say is the biggest difference between the Rob Font then and the Rob Font now, mentally?
Mentally, I think my focus is a little better.
Yeah.
My focus is a little better. I feel like I'm not overthinking things. I'm just keeping it simple, or at least trying to keep it simple before I should try to think too much now. It's just like simple. Hit him more than he hits you, and you win the fight. So just go out there and have fun. And another thing, I think I've with these camps, I've been having more fun in these camps instead of treating it straight business. You know, it's kind of straight business. We got to get here, do this, do that. It's just I think you're having more fun in the camp. Talking a lot more shit with my training partners. Just kind of having bringing other guys in and going to different gyms as far as boxing gyms in the Boston area. That's another thing about the Northeast. There's boxing gyms in every town, and there's always these young guys from the Golden Gloves and all these young kids I can get to spar with, and so that's what we did this camp. We got to move around from Haverhill to Woburn in Somerville and spar with different boxers, and it's been great. One of the old promotions I used to fight for back then in Northeast and Rhode Island, they also promote boxing, so we have a huge network of boxers to move around with. So yeah, I think that's probably the biggest difference is a lot more boxing sparring and getting with younger, faster guys.
I want to find something out about Rob Font, George, but I'm going to ask you the question first.
Okay.
Under his shirt, is there a Go Pats or Buccaneers?
I would
He's
say
been there for a while now.
He seems pretty immersed in this Boston thing. So I'd say there's some Patriots jock riding going on over here.
Yeah, you'd be right. It's hard. It's hard to be a Bucks fan, man. It's hard.
Well,
to
they
be
got
a
Jameis
Bucks
Winston now.
Yeah, it's hard though, man. It's hard. And then you understand, like.
So that means you're Celtics as well.
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the fact that they're stocking up for the future rather than striking now, even though they went to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I'm not that big of a sports fan, though.
Okay.
You know, I'm not like, I'll watch it. I'd rather go to the games. I'll watch it here and there, but I'm not like a die-hard sports fan with any type of sport. So for a while, I wouldn't watch anything but fights. I wouldn't even watch the sports. My brother and sister have more of a conversation about the sports than I would. So.
You ever meet any of those other athletes?
Yeah, I actually hung out with, we did like a... Before the Boston fight, I was with Kenny Olynyk at a New Year's Eve party. Real cool dude, relaxed. He's always in Boston throughout like the.
You never rolled with Aaron Hernandez though, right?
No.
Okay.
What would you say?
That's trouble right there.
What's the biggest difference between you guys and them?
Nothing really.
As far as athletes.
Because
we always hear them.
You know, like basketball. As far as basketball players, you know, obviously they jump higher and all that, but it's nothing. It's just, I think.
I guess what I mean more is like the grind, what we call the grind, right?
Yeah. Well, I feel like we work harder as far as because we have to like. There's so much things we have to do as far as jiu-jitsu, wrestling. I want to say harder, maybe longer. Like longer, we have longer workouts than like an average like basketball player where they just probably shoot 1,000 free throws and run a couple plays and they're out. We gotta. I guess I think I calculated the other day. I train like at least 45 hours a week, constantly just training, like at least twice a day. Some days are 3, but it's smart, calculated days, and it's just a long process, long week. But I would say that I think they get to kind of chill a little bit more as far as working out, grinding, and then they play. Workout, play. We got to grind.
Then they got that nice break, right?
Yeah,
and they get that break.
Yeah, so we're constantly always training, but. I think they're all the same. Just want to go out there, compete, and have fun afterwards.
Rob Font is going to be fighting on Saturday at UFC 213. He's on the prelims. You can watch the fights on the UFC Fight Pass at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Start Time. So 3 fights coming your way on the Fight Pass, and then they turn things over to FS1 on the prelims, and then of course the pay-per-view headlined by Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko. All right, how about a quick prediction? How does it go down versus you and Douglas Silva de Andrade?
I'm trying to get rid of him first round. Trying to get my hands on him.
Break his nose, maybe.
Thinking, straight right down the middle. I gotta get off to the side, hit him with a straight right, and then see what happens from there. But definitely trying to do that, or obviously take anything I can get. But trying to look for that right hand down the middle, first round.
And then when you go to pick him up, you're gonna say you dug yourself a hole, Doug.
You got the one-liner.
Told you, man. We're corny. We have to come up with dumb shit.
I like it, though.
Thank you very much for stopping by the studio. Good luck in your fight on Saturday. Folks, follow him on Twitter at Rob S. Font. And is there anything else you want to say to your fans or anybody else that's listening?
Just tune in. Follow me on Instagram at Rob Font, Snapchat at the Font, THAFONT, and just tune in. Make sure to tune in. Get that free trial on Fight Pass, and make sure to tune in.
That's what's up. All right, folks, we're going to take our last break. When we come back, we are going to be talking to Terrion Ware, who is fighting Cody Stamann, our previous guest. He's debuting in the UFC here. Kid out of L.A., so we followed him on the regional circuit for many years, so we're very stoked for him. And we'll talk to him when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93.
They are the stretch marks on the underbelly of the MMA community. But hey, stretch marks are the new tats. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Saturday night at 7 Eastern, it's UFC 213 from Las Vegas. Enjoy hard-hitting, cage-rattling action from inside the octagon featuring the Women's Bantamweight Championship bout between Amanda Nunes as she defends her belt against Valentina Shevchenko. Listen to pre-fight, prelims, and post-fight coverage on Fox Sports on SiriusXM Channel 83 and on the SiriusXM app. Want to welcome to the show Terrion Ware out of L.A. He's a SoCaler like us, Goes, except we're more OC and you're more towards L.A. And the reason I know that is because I went to one of his fights at the hangar in Costa Mesa, and it was pretty cool to see OC in LA. Yeah, I was talking about. Okay, where did I reference this? We were talking about. I think it was with Kevin Lee about African Americans. How we can get more of them involved in our sport. And I referenced your fight. I was there in Costa Mesa. You had a large contingent, a big crew. Now, not all of them were African Americans, but a lot of them were, right? And they were into it. What I don't know, and I want to ask you is, are they just into Terrion Ware, or are they getting into the sport? Because I'm telling you, they were loud. They were saying stuff that sounded like they were educated on the sport. It wasn't like kick his ass, Seabass. I mean, it was like, throw this combo or a certain combo or get them underhooks in knees. When they get so it was really, really cool to see. But we were talking about how we can get more African Americans involved in our sport. So tell me about that contingent that follows you around, or was it isolated for that show? Or
I think it's just a combination of both. But I do think that as I think more African Americans get into the sport, I think you will start to see a bigger following. I think as you see in the urban neighborhoods with African Americans, it's mostly basketball, football, boxing that they're used to, that they're into. So I think as the sport grows and as you see more and more African Americans that people can look up to, you'll see kids coming up and wanting to do the same thing.
Okay, so it has to be not just Jones and Cormier and DJ. It has to be like, we have to point to like 20, 30, 40 fighters, some history from them and getting to know them. So it'll take a while, I guess. Yeah,
it'll take a while. Just like with anything, it'll just take some getting used to, and just people of that ethnicity, seeing a consistent basis, seeing those fighters and getting used to them and then wanting to be like them.
Do young black kids come to you and show interest in what you do, or ask about it, or are moved by what you do, influenced by what you do in any way, or is it just more about like you kicked his ass and that was it, keeping it about the result rather than the martial arts involved, the sport, the discipline that it takes to be a professional athlete?
I definitely have. It's not just black kids, but just a majority of a group, like kids coming up and wanting to train. They're doing jiu-jitsu, they're doing boxing, and then just asking, in terms of on a professional level, how do I get there? What are the steps do I take, to be a professional fighter? So I think with again with time, you'll start to see more and more of that happening as the sport grows.
Terrion, talk a little bit about the road to get here, because I feel like we've been following you for a long time, and I'm sure if you look at your record, just what you had to get through to get here, it's a little different than most people.
Yeah. It definitely seems like a long road, but compared to some other people, it's actually relatively short. I've been doing this for 6.5 years. My first 2 years were as an amateur, so it's about 4.5, 5 years that it's taken me to get here. I've just had so many fights in a short amount of time. Between 12 amateur fights and 22 professional fights, and a 6.5 year, 7 year span, it seems longer than it actually is. But if you going back and look at just all the experiences that I have, it is feel pretty long, just because it's a lot of experience and a lot of fights that I've had.
What's been the toughest part?
The waiting part, really. I felt like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that I was ready to get into the UFC. And I was seeing guys that are getting signed that, I'm not hating on them or anything like that, but like I felt like, in terms of my resume and who I've competed against, the amount of wins and fights that I've had, that maybe I deserve to be there before them. So it just took a little longer. So that was just hard, the waiting part, because as you're waiting, I want to compete, I want to fight, and then you get to a certain level. I'm 11-2, 12-2, where I'm going to have to continue to fight tough guys, and any loss can set you back, 3-4 fights in terms of getting into the big show.
I want to talk about one fight in particular, the Jared Papazian fight. You fought him twice. He beat you once, but then you got your revenge just recently.
There was a lot of chirping going on that one.
How long does that take, like, for you to? How long do you hold a loss with you, and what does it feel like to avenge one?
I mean, that particular one, I didn't really hold on to. You know, it was a time where when I fought him the first time, he was just getting out of the UFC. I was just barely getting my career started. It was my 7th fight. I took it on 4 weeks' notice. So going into that fight, I was, my coaches and I were, let's test ourselves. Let's see where we're at, So I didn't hang my head too much on that loss until later on when he started, like, chirping about it. But being able to, to get that loss back, it definitely shows my growth. And it was just something that for me to kind of get over the hump to beat a guy like that who has been in the UFC and has fought high caliber fighters, to beat him, it meant a lot to me.
Do you like it when guys chirp? Does that bring out a different level of Terrion Ware?
It doesn't really bother me. I just kind of fed into it, I know for the most part he was doing it to hype, but I think a little bit was a little bit of animosity at the time as well too. But honestly, it didn't bother me. It just made it more fun for me. My friends and everybody was getting into it. They're online chirping as well too. And it just made the whole event. I mean, the event sold out within like 4 days of it opening. Cool. So, and there's a lot of people there, and there are a lot of people excited about it and huge buzz about it. So I was excited to be a part of that.
Trig was his ref too.
Yeah, we got 1 minute left. Can you share a good street fight story with us?
Good street fight story. Ooh, I don't know if I want to share this one, but I'll share it. So I literally had just gotten my first tattoo. I just got accepted to play college baseball at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and I got this cannon tattoo with a baseball shooting out of it. And we're driving, and these guys out of nowhere, I'm in the back seat. They start pounding on my friend's car. I guess they thought we were from a different gang or whatever. They're pounding and kicking his car, so we get out. And we didn't realize how many of them was. It was 3 of us. We thought it was like 3 of them, and it ended up being like 7 of them. And it was a 3-on-7 fight, and we actually beat them up.
Oh wow!
There you go. Nice. How many guys did you drop?
2 in particular I can remember. 2. But everything else was kind of like kind of crazy. It was happening real fast.
All right, folks. That is Terrion Ware. He's fighting Cody Stamann at UFC 213 on Saturday. Follow him on Twitter at @FlashMMA. He's been doing it for a long time. Really proud of him. Good to see you in the UFC. Great to meet you here in the studio. And, folks, when we come back after the commercial and sports update, we got Anthony Pettis and Curtis Blaydes. Stay close.
Las Vegas turning
All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Usually I let the song play out a little bit more, but we got a former UFC champ on the line, one of the big names of the sport. Talking about Anthony Pettis, who is going to be in that opening bout of this weekend's UFC 213 pay-per-view card, headlined by Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. Now, Anthony Pettis is going to be fighting Jim Miller, and this can be a great. I think it's going to be a great one to set the tone for the night. Joining us now on the hotline is Showtime Anthony Pettis. What's up, Anthony? How you doing?
What's up, bro? I'm doing good.
Awesome. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes. Anthony, did you make any sort of a move to Vegas where a lot of your training's been focused out here? That's kind of what, like, the word around town a little bit, that a lot of Pettis sightings.
I'm more training in Milwaukee, but yeah, I do have a house in Vegas, but all my camp was done in Milwaukee.
Okay. And then what about that stint you had with the Jackson team? Was that just for a couple camps, or is that just something you divvy up depending on the matchup or what's going on in your personal life maybe?
Yeah, it was mostly depending on the matchup. You know, Cowboy Cerrone offered some sparring for the Edson Barboza fight, so you know, I went out there, got some sparring in. Israel Martinez, my wrestling coach, he's out there with Jon Jones, so you know, go out there and try to.
Okay. And now for this fight, obviously Miller, you know, he's been doing this for a long time, very well rounded, but wrestling's his base. So is this one of those where you know, you've been putting on them wrestling shoes a lot, and is that like maybe at least 50% of the camp is drilling the wrestling?
No, not at all. I actually went away from the wrestling, man. I just went and focused on what I was good at, striking. A lot of striking this camp, a lot of jiu-jitsu, and now I think the wrestling was always there, but I just put that in my head that I had to get better at it, and I was just too focused on wrestling and took away from all the other parts of my game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's interesting to hear. I remember I think it was the previous fight, you were really immersed in it, but now you're saying it wasn't as big of a focus. And so now is the important thing, I guess, just creating that space. You know, like, I just, you know, not to hammer it or anything like that. I know he's your boy, Eric Koch. He lost to Clay Guida, and it just seems like those guys that are committed to the wrestling can make it so unbearable that it's almost like you have to limit your the type of arsenal of strikes you throw at them, just because all they really want to do is time you, you know what I mean, and not engage with you in the striking.
Yeah, most definitely. I think you know, wrestling's a big part of the sport, but then you know, if you look at it, you know, there's no way I'm gonna catch up to these guys. I'm not gonna catch up to a Clay Guida in wrestling, and you know, they're not gonna catch up to me in striking. So I got to go out there and make sure my strong point is showcasing the fight, and not get caught up in who's on top and who's doing the takedown.
Mm-hmm. And I've always said, it's almost like you having light hips and being so quick and so good off your back has sometimes, I felt, been a detriment. And here's why I say that. Because you're so good at it, and you have these setups, but the judges aren't recognizing the skill set. They're just recognizing one human being on top of the other, and it pisses me off because I don't think it should be that way. Have you seen the judges evolve in what they're looking at on the ground game when it comes to a skilled fighter off his back like yourself?
I think it's all over the place. You see fights where the guy off his back is attacking like crazy, and then you see ones that aren't. So I think the judging is just all over the place. It all just depends who the judges.
Do you already know who's going to ref your fight? Because I've noticed, you know, just some of them have a quicker stand-up, you know, than others in terms of, you know, when they're seeing action and when they're not.
Nah, no idea who's roughing the fight. I think, you know, I got away from all that and trying to win on points and all that. I'm going back to the drawing to finish the fight. I'm gonna hit him as hard as I can, and eventually this guy's going to fall down.
Love hearing that. Anthony Pettis, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's fighting Jim Miller on Saturday, UFC 213. All right, Goes, what do you have for Anthony Pettis?
Anthony, we've heard you talk about this matchup with Jim Miller and how much you like it. Can you kind of shed some light on what it is about Jim Miller and the matchup in particular that you do like?
It comes to fight. I mean, every fight Jim Miller is in, he's coming to fight. He's not just looking to wrestle. He's not just looking to take you down. He got striking, southpaw stance, and one of the fights where I can test myself, and that's what it's all about out here, man. I fought the best in the world, at 155, 145 now. And Jim Miller is, one of the guys that's been around for a long time. Our paths were going to cross.
You fought in different places, in main events. You fought all over the card. In this particular fight, you're the first fight of the night. And George kind of mentioned it in his intro. We feel like it sets the tone, that first fight of the night. Do you feel that same way? And have you, being in a main event before, ever felt like that, looking down at that first fight and saying those guys set the tone for the night?
Honestly, not really, man. When you're out there, you don't really care about who else is fighting. It's just all about focusing on who's in front of you. I'm not looking at who's on the other card. I don't even look at the other fights, really. I just focus on, Jim Miller. That's it.
One nice thing, though, is that you'll be fighting at around 7:10 p.m. Pacific time. That's one thing that I do like about that opening slot versus like when you're the main event or co-main event, like you've often been. They can come in there and say 20 minutes or 40 minutes, and I don't know. Are you big on the warm-ups and knowing exactly when you need to, peak your body?
Nah, not really. I think I at this point, my body's in peak shape. I'm in the best shape of my life. It doesn't matter if I'm fighting at 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 2 a.m. I mean, I'm ready to go at this point.
Mm-hmm. And, Anthony, I guess – where do you feel like you fit in? There's Khabib and there's Tony, and then there's a couple other guys rushing in, like Barbosa and Kevin Lee. First of all, are you even worried about titles or anything like that? And next of all, do you feel like you're in that second wave of fighters following like Tony and Khabib, who are rumored to fight for an interim belt at some point?
Well, I think with Conor McGregor, doing this Floyd Mayweather fight, it kind of slows the whole division up. So there's room for guys to change that landscape. But at this point right now, this is my first fight back at 155. I just got to go make a statement, and people gotta make people want to watch me fight again.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I hear a lot, and you tell me if it's fair or in any way accurate. You had a lot of success, and you're not just successful in mixed martial arts. You have a lot of thriving businesses, and you started making money, a lot of money at a young age. And of course, a lot of people see, that a little bit of a flashy lifestyle. You have nice watches and the cars and all that. Did you ever get caught up in the success and the lifestyle? And do you attribute that to like the run that you had where you lost 4 out of 5 at all? Like, I guess, is there any accuracy to the fans, giving you that type of harsh treatment?
No, I don't even think it's harsh treatment, man. I mean, we're all here to make money, and if you made some good money, that's at the end goal. You look back at this sport, you got to see how did it change your life. And yeah, I've made some great money in this sport, and outside of the octagon, but it doesn't change who you are. For me, it doesn't change me as a fighter. The thing that changed me the most was injuries. I had a knee surgery coming out of the Ben Henderson fight. I had a year off with the Ultimate Fighter. Then they put me in there against Melendez. I won that fight, and then I had to take time off, and I fought RDA. So a lot of injuries I had that just kind of slowed my training down. And if you're not in the gym as much as all these other guys, you're going to fall behind, and that's why I fell behind.
Well, we look forward to your fight versus Jim Miller. It's great to have you back on the show. Thanks, as always, for the time. Good luck on Saturday, my man, and thanks again.
Yep, no problem, guys. Thanks.
All right, take care. All right, folks, follow Anthony on Twitter at Showtime Pettis. Well, we'll see, goes, and I'll tell you what. I think a lot of this guy, man, he was one of my favorite fighters for a long time in the WEC, and it's great to have him back at 55. We said this earlier in the year, in the week, with probably the return of Conor at the end of the year, and we know Khabib will hopefully be back and healthy. 55 could. I apologize. I said this actually with Sean Lennon from Fight League Report. I think 55 could make a comeback late 2017, early 2018. I'll tell you why.
It never goes too far away, though.
It doesn't, but it was everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone. You stopped anyone in the street, 99 out of 100 would tell you 55. And then for me, I told you 70 became it. The Condits, the Diaz's, Robbie Lawler returned, Rory McDonald, George St. Pierre, Johnny Hendricks. Of course, we were cheering for him through his run. Damian Maia. You could still hang your hat on the occasional cost check booking. Jake Ellenberger. I mean, Campman. So this was literally like 4 or 5 years ago where I was like, man, that's my division right there. And then 45 kind of became it as well. Still 70 I like. Woodley, can't forget about him. But then 45ers came along, and Cub, Lamas, Aldo, McGregor, Holloway, and so my point is those two definitely were over the 55ers. But I think the 55ers have a little bit of a comeback to make in 2017 and for sure 2018. Pettis coming back. Gill just signed, except he's going to 45. I understand that. Gagey coming over. Michael Johnson keeps it fun. Poirier keeps it fun.
Ferguson.
Alvarez. Yeah, so it's too bad they lost Cerrone, and it's too bad they lost Masvidal and RDA, but I feel like they've gained a few back, and there's a lot of the Eastern European kids that are really, really tough as well.
Hopefully with Anthony, hopefully it is just injuries or mental, because physically he's always looked the same, right?
Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah, I understand what fans are saying, that, he takes these vacations to Puerto Rico, and he's just leading a lavish lifestyle. And I guess, what do you do when someone loses? Whether you bet on them, cheer for them, they're your favorite fighter, whatever, and something goes wrong, you start to think, oh, man, he's not getting the training sessions in there. 3. The hunger, yeah, it's like the jet-setting lifestyle. I guess one can assume it. But, he said, hey, injuries, time off, there's just been a lack of consistency. But, I will say this, and of course I didn't want to spend the whole hour arguing with him or anything like that, but the one thing I liked about his 2016 is he had 3 fights. He hadn't done that in a while, except he went 1-2. And granted, he's fighting killers. Holloway's a world champ, for crying out loud. We know there that 45 is just a division that isn't for him. The other one was Barbosa, and that one was a fair and square loss. He did beat Charles Oliveira. The Alvarez loss was a split decision. The RDA fight, there was no way around that. That was RDA's night. Yeah. So who knows? You can dissect these records in many ways.
I wish he would.
Can you give me more volume on this?
Yeah. I wish he would have not dismissed wrestling so easily that he can't catch him. Because, you look at a guy like Damian Maia. He probably had every right to say something like that. I'll never catch these Americans in their wrestling. Look at him. He's out wrestling a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah. George St. Pierre. He comes from karate. All right. This is a good chance to sneak in some calls. 866-522-2846. Because we have Curtis Blaydes coming up at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So let's start off with Jim in Strong Beach, California. What's up, Jim?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. And you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just looking forward to seeing the Jon Jones-Cormier fight. I want to see Jon Jones get his belt back. That's what I want to see. And so I'm looking. How do you feel about that fight?
Man, that's the fight of the year, obviously. No disrespect to anyone else, even McGregor Mayweather. But that has to be the fight of the year. These two have built it up perfectly. They each have one loss. Cormier happens to have the one loss to Jones. Jones happens to have a technical loss. It's a loss that matters, but a lot of people regard him as being undefeated. But these two are just two of the greatest of all time, two of the best pound-for-pound fighters on the planet right now. There's a lot of heat involved between the two. I have a feeling it'll go at least 3, 4, 5 rounds. We're going to see a lot of battle, a lot of spilled blood, great build-up. And if Cormier can get a second or can get the win, we'll probably see a third. So how lucky are we? And if Jones wins, then that closes maybe that chapter, and he gets he gets that belt back like you're wanting. But it goes. You got to be on the same page. Probably the most anticipated fight of the year.
Yeah, but I feel like we'll know what kind of fight it's going to be in round 1. I don't think we'll see one type of fight in round 1 and then round 2 go, oh, now they're doing this. You'll know right away in which direction that fight's going to go.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Jones is going to? Well, I think Jones is going to destroy him, and Daniel Cormier gets the fake belt because he lost to him already. So I don't ever believe he's really the champion. And he's always bad-mouthing. Jon Jones, for his behavior and everything. And so I think Daniel Cormier is going to he's going to lose, and after that fight, I think Anthony Johnson's going to come back.
Think so? You think?
I do believe that. Yeah. I don't think he's good. Didn't he tweet that he's getting that itch back, and it had only been a few weeks?
He's looking like a super
I don't believe he's
now.
ever really out. He just wanted to wait till this fight comes so he can make some more money. The comeback fight.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll beat him up worse than he did in the first fight, or do you think Cormier will put up a better fight?
No, I don't think Daniel Cormier has a chance. He's older now. He's slower. He's has a hard time. I actually kind of think Daniel Cormier won't make the weight, so he'll have an excuse not to fight him or something like that. But anyways, I think Cormier's a lot older now. He's going to be slower, and Jones is just a lot better fighter. He's got better striking, his kicking, his ground game, everything. The only thing Daniel Cormier is good is like pushing people against the cage and then trying to choke them out. And I think he's going to be too out of shape and weak, and Jones is going to destroy him.
All right, Jim. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll wait and see what happens, and obviously call in and gloat if Jones wins. But keep it real. If Daniel Cormier can, I expect a call from you saying, "Hey, man, I had it wrong." Because here's what I see. We'll let you go, and then you can listen. For one, I think if Jones has the ultimate warfare, verbal warfare, and being able to say, "I beat you. I kicked your ass." So if you think about it, if you're DC, if Jim's DC, if I'm DC, what can you say back to him? Yeah, other than, well, I'm going to get you in the second fight. Well, that's not going to carry much. If some guy's constantly telling you he kicked your ass, well, I'll tell you what, you start to look and see, well, where can I poke and prod him? And part of his downfall was him losing the belt because he couldn't contain him. He couldn't keep it together as a human being outside of fighting. So that's why I think Cormier chooses that route. But regardless, there's really not much to say other than, oh, yeah, well, I took a round from you. I mean, that was Jones's night. Jones looked great that night. However, here's where I really disagree with Jim. I thought he looked great against Gustafsson, and that is close to 2 years ago.
That was
and I thought he looked pretty good against Johnson. Where he didn't look good against was Anderson Silva, but two things. One, he had toned down the preparations because that camp was experiencing so many injuries. They decided to try and tone it down, but he said, it can't be the way. I have to push myself to the limits to feel as best as I can. That's one. And two, can you really strike with Anderson?
No, because
that's
if
a tough
one. The next day, everybody would have said, what were you thinking?
Right, and Anderson's got a very underrated guard. So let's say you do get him down, you can't just submit Anderson. Anderson's got a really, really great and underrated guard. So that was just a tough fight for him to have to fight. But I thought he did what he had to do against Anthony Johnson, something that everyone else was getting lit up by Johnson, and Cormier did not get lit up.
He took a good shot.
So since Jones, he did, but he also took the shot. Since Jones, I thought Cormier's improved. Jones, since Cormier, looked not as good against OSP. But I think some of that had to do with rust. So he'll have the same amount of time almost, since OSP against Cormier. So that may play out. That might factor in. We'll know. I don't know. I think it's going to be a closer fight. Jones may win, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than the first one. But I honestly think Cormier has a good shot to win. All right, let's get to Brian in Boston. What's up, Brian? How you doing?
That previous caller, I feel, for me, was a perfect jumping-off point because I'm listening to all these fighters call in, and they're doing everything they can to promote their fights in this weekend. But I'm looking at this card, and I'm having a really hard time thinking about actually parting, with $60 for this thing. I'm not a huge, Amanda fan. I don't get into that silly lion head. The co-main event, I like that fight, but it's not like I can pay $60 for that. Once Cerrone and Lawler fell off of this, I'm like, oh Christ, I don't see where the value is. Because then you kind of fast forward to UFC 2014, and almost every single fight is one that I cannot miss. Like, I can't go to bed knowing those fights in 2014 are right behind my TV.
Did you like the first fight with Valentina and Amanda?
If I'm being honest, I struggle with the women's division, and I struggle with the 125ers. So when you put those two divisions at the height of the card, I have a hard time with those. And that's just my preference. It'd be great. Nothing about how athletic they are. I get it. I struggle. So, and then I'm looking at the rest of the card put together, and I almost feel like Dana took this one off.
No, bro. No.
It didn't work out.
Listen, this is the first complaint I've heard about whether I'm going to buy it or not. All right, and totally respect your opinion because I think you've always kept it, real with us in terms of usually you do go out and get it because it provides entertainment for you. I remembered some of those conversations, but let's not forget This one's supposed to have Cody Garbrandt and TJ Dillashaw. It's not Dana's fault that Cody's back went out. This one was also supposed to have Lawler and Cerrone. So what the UFC at one point tried to give you was Nunes, Shevchenko, Romero and Whitaker, Garbrandt and TJ, Cerrone and Lawler, Alistair Overeem and Verdum, and then Blaydes and Omalenchik and Miller and Pettis. I think Miller and Pettis got promoted up from the prelims. So what I'm not sure of is if they would have given you Romero Whitaker,
probably not.
If the other one hadn't fallen off. Yeah, we're not sure yet about that, but they did. So, you know, good on them for at least trying. I would imagine Romero Whitaker, Alistair Overeem and Verdum, and probably Miller and Pettis you're okay with. You're just, you know, Blaydes obviously is a potential superstar. I see him, you know, following in the steps of Lewis and Ngannou possibly. And then Nunes and Shevchenko. Yeah, if you're not into women's MMA, I hear you, man. That's a tough one. It was a tough one for UFC 200. That was headlined by Tate and Nunes as well. I will say this about Nunes. She does tend to make it exciting, her style, because she kicks hard, she's athletic, she covers a lot of ground with her strikes. I mean, she lit up Ronda Rousey. That was a pretty amazing performance, a striking display. Valentina's very technical. So this is one of the women's MMA fights that I'm actually looking forward to. But I mean, you know, Shevchenko's a favorite of ours as well, so I realize that.
UFC will rarely slack on a Vegas card. Vegas, they'll bring it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But on this one, I think they really did try to make it a great card.
Yeah. So, yeah, you have a decision to make, man. And you know, the night before, you get the tough finale for free, and maybe call a buddy over and just look at it as a $30 expense versus a $60 expense.
It's kind of funny. Like my wife and kids will always laugh at me. Like every now and then, a card will come along, and I'll tell them, "Hey, you know what? I'm probably, how dare you?" And I'll say to them, like, "Hey, I'm probably not buying this weekend's card." And the three of them start laughing at me, and they're like, "Dad, you say that all the time, and you know damn well, come Saturday at like 9:45 Eastern Standard Time, I'll drop to $59." So I'll call you next week and see if I gave in. Which I'm hoping that I don't, to be honest.
All right, Brian. Thanks for the call. Good stuff.
See you guys.
All right, see ya. Let's do one more, and then we'll get to our break here. Rick from Alaska. What's up, man? Long time. Been a minute.
I know. How's it going, guys? I'll tell you what. I'm going to buy this card, not without bitching and complaining that I think that if anytime you buy a pay-per-view on the UFC Fight Pass, I feel like they should be giving you a little bit more of a discount than they already do because there's no pay-per-view provider. They're in-between guy. I think it's still a little high. I mean, but that's never going to change, especially since UFC was bought for a bajillion dollars. So that's one of my many complaints.
But the new owners are the ones that put the money out, so they're trying to recoup it. You see what I'm saying?
I know. So there goes any chance of any sort of Fight Pass discount because they're trying to mimic the Fight Pass after the WWE Network a little bit, I think, because you saw that they have that 24/7 stream now. Did you guys see that on their app where they got that? And that's okay.
Wait, hold on a second, though. Aren't they basically just – it is a pay-per-view feed that they put onto the UFC Fight Pass, right? So I think they still have to account for that or –
I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's that automatic that just because you're getting it through UFC Fight Pass, they get it all. I'm not sure about that. Maybe
I'm not sure
it's a great question
go that route.
To ask somebody, but what's that? To just count on an internet connection?
I don't feel good about it.
Ask somebody that's ordered pay-per-views on WWE for the last 2 years.
I love being on Twitter.
They give it a great review.
I don't want to be 10 seconds behind some other guy.
Right.
I don't know.
Ask somebody on WWE and see what their history has been like, because that's an important concern that you have.
Well, the thing with the WWE is that they, like, if you order through Time Warner Cable or whatever, that group would get 30%, or actually, I'm just making up numbers, but they would get a piece of the pie. Now with the WWE Network, they stream all their pay-per-views through the network, so you just pay the $10 a month fee, and you don't pay anything, unless you're in the international market where it's not available, and then you'd still have to buy the pay-per-views individually. But the UFC is never going to offer their pay-per-views for free on their Fight Pass. That's just not going to happen. But they are limiting like how many people are getting a piece of their pay-per-view pie when you order it through their app. You're directly paying them. And I'm sure you're paying some other people to do the live stream, but that's their team. And so I just still think it's kind of you know, they might be discounting $5. I don't even know. I haven't ordered a pay-per-view through a TV distributor in so long. But I just still think it's like you said, it's 10 seconds behind. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like there's something they can do. But, oh well, doesn't really matter. Then you wouldn't have these conversations with these. I know this is the first one you just heard about, someone not wanting to drop $60. But now if it was $45 or something like that, no one would ever have a problem. But like you said, they sold it, so they don't want to be discounting anything. So that's my gripe.
So what are you going to do? Are you going to order it or not?
Fuck yeah, I always order them. That's the reason they don't need to discount them. The only one I haven't ordered literally in years is the Aldo one because I was working. And I hated it.
That turned out to be a great card, didn't it?
Don't you guys go to the movies to watch them sometimes?
I know. Yeah, well, yeah, me and Dante, when they do it, they had them in the Bellator one, the Madison Square Garden one in theaters, but I was in Alaska where they were showing it at all, so, you know, there's nowhere to watch pay-per-views there. And so, yeah, we're going to do it next time. I don't think UFC and Fathom events are friends right now because they were all buddy-buddy showing every pay-per-view event in, like, 2014, and they haven't done it since. So someone pissed somebody off. I don't know. Anyways, good talking with you guys. It's been a minute. Try to make it more frequent.
You too, Rick.
To be continued. Bye.
All right, take care. We'll see you. All right, folks, we're going to take a break here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. When we come back, we'll be talking to Curtis Blaydes, one of the top young prospect heavyweights. Hell, I don't even know if we can call him prospect. He's got a few fights under his belt, and he's fighting at UFC 213 versus Daniel Omalenchek. So we'll see what he's all about when we come back after this break. Stay close.
6 guns by the side and bullets round the waist. 2 shots to the sky, signal sign for the chase. Everybody get up.
To link into the MMA Junkie Radio Network, hit us up on twitter.com @MMAJunkieRadio. This is MMA Junkie Radio. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, we're back. MMA Junkie Radio on a Wednesday. It's Hump Day. And I guess right now Goes, you know, if this was baseball, 4 out of 5 isn't bad, right?
No, this is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of baseball, did you see last night, something happened that we're not allowed to talk about at the time. But Kershaw had a no-hitter, I think, going into the 7th.
And, yeah, I just saw the headline.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the game or anything like that.
Man. Then he got, well, he didn't get lit up, but then the Dodgers kind of got lit up a little bit and squeaked out a victory.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Let's see here. All right, I gotta figure this out.
That's on my bucket list to have witnessed a no-hitter. And I knew quite a few people that were at that game. And I was rooting for them. I was rooting for the Dodgers, of course, rooting for Clayton Kershaw. But it didn't happen. They still got the victory.
You witnessed an 18-inning game once, right?
Yeah, but we lost. That was Greg Maddux and Ishmael Valdez, if I remember correctly.
It is, yeah.
And that game, that was the one where we dropped off our cousin at LAX before the game started. Went to the Dodger game, or, well, Dodger Stadium's not that far from LAX, but we went, and he got to Peru, which is an 8-hour flight, before we even got home. He might have even gotten there before we had even left the stadium.
No, I think it was before we got home. I think it was before we had gotten home. There was a message saying, "Hey guys, just landed," and I remember we got a kick out of like, "Whoa!"
We were all sunburned.
You know, how did that happen? You
I
know
remember
what I
at the end, Raul Mondesi was pitching. They were just pulling guys out from the outfield to come in and pitch. Both teams were doing it because they had gone through so many pitchers, but the game just wouldn't end. And it ended like, it was a pitcher's duel. I think it ended like, it might have been something like 2-3 or something like that. But for the most part, the game was 1-0 for the longest time. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Well, Matt Erickson says he was at a perfect game.
Really?
And he was there because Miguel Torres was throwing out the first pitch. That's crazy.
So it was Cubs and who? I guess. Or White Sox, Cubs? I don't know.
I don't know.
Huh. He was at a perfect game.
Who gets to do
I think I've been at a no-hitter that was one of those, like maybe 6th or 7th. Nothing like where we're down to the last out or anything.
Talk about it?
No, I mean, but everybody around us was, because we all knew. It was just we didn't go, "Oh my God!" We didn't publicly say it, but we were like, "Yes," you know, cheering hard on every out. But again, we were still at the stage where it's not as big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we got out of that inning, we would have been left with 6 outs. I think it really becomes a big deal there.
I think
with like 9 or 6 outs left for sure. There's just a hard clap, a hard cheer for every out, and
once you get to about 5, I think is where you start nudging the guy next to you.
Mm-hmm.
But see, the thing is, at about, I want to say in the 6th inning, I need to take this. Kershaw was like at 115 pitches.
Oh, wow. All right. I'll tell you what. We can take some calls right now because our last guest has not answered. So this is that opening that, we allow for you all to call in on a busy day and chat about UFC 213, which is taking place on Saturday. Of course, the tough finale on Friday, man. There's a really good fight with Michael Johnson and Justin Gaethje. I mean, how about if Gaethje comes in and makes a statement? That's huge for him. It's huge for other promotions. The World Series can't do anything about it then because he's not their guy. But, we saw that happen with WEC when those lightweights came over and did well, with Strikeforce, with not just their lightweights, but a lot of their fighters coming over and doing well. And, of course, this will be a score one for Bellator and WSOF and one championship. When they tell you, hey, we don't have top to bottom an awesome roster that can compare with the UFC, but we have isolated 6, 12, 20 guys and gals that are great, So this would just be a good win for the other promotions. And, of course, if the UFC if Johnson wins, then huge win for him. He gives the first loss to a former champion in Justin Gaethje. We only have to go back 3 years to Alvarez debuting as the former Bellator champ versus Cowboy Cerrone. Goes out there, had one hell of a first round, and then after that lost. And then, of course, the naysayers were like, yeah, you see, you know, Bellator, this, that, whatever. And then what happened to Alvarez? He became a UFC champion.
But this is just
so huge for him and for anybody that's ever, I guess, cheered for other promotions with the UFC. I mean, the alliance sometimes is drawn, man, between UFC nut huggers and non-UFC.
It's just the Bellator and World Series of Fighting thing, though, really, when you think about it. Because when you think about the way the UFC is populated, a lot of those Strikeforce guys took titles, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah,
Daniel
man. Strikeforce
took one. Luke Rockhold took one. Gilbert Melendez came close to taking one. I mean, the lighter divisions were ruled by the WEC guys for the longest time.
Yeah, and look how big Ronda Rousey became.
Yeah,
you know, and Scott Coker, I think, had a lot to do with, you know, her rise as well in that promotion and seeing that. You know, he went through 2 waves of that. He went with that with Gina Carano and then Ronda Rousey. And, of course, having the Misha Tates of the world and Marloes Conans and other great fighters along for the ride, that helped too.
Strikeforce take credit for Kane. What's up? That's our boy.
Cain Velasquez's first fight was in Strikeforce, and I think the headliner was, I could look it up, but I like to try. I think it was Paul Buentello and Tank Abbott, and Cain was on the undercard of that Strikeforce. That was his only fight at Strikeforce, then he came over to the UFC.
For some reason,
so I wonder if Strikeforce ever feels like, damn, we lost one. Because imagine if he would have been a part of the Grand Prix and all that shit, and maybe a featured champion.
That would have been huge.
And him being from, well, no, I take it back. He was training in San Jose with AKA, but he's from the Arizona area. So he wasn't like a hometown, homegrown boy, but he was a hometown guy. I should say that. Let's see here. Let me look something up here, too.
So I got an update for you on our little internet thing. Looks like it'll get fixed right after the show.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And it's good for 48 hours. Then you just got to do it again.
Yeah, I need that shit. All right. Well, you know, Danny, you did as best you could. And I'm trying to get maybe to see if there's another number. All I did was copy paste, so I know I gave you the right number. So it's just not working out right now to have Curtis Blaydes on the show. And we have lines open, 866-522-2846 to call in. The other big news that I saw. Well, first of all, Embedded did happen. You saw that, right?
I didn't see it. No.
You didn't? It was really good.
Seen it.
I liked it. You know, learning a little bit more about when we were with Valentina in Virginia, she took to anything that had to do with shooting a gun. Yeah. What I didn't know was that they compete. Did you know they compete too?
Yeah, so I learned that the hard way because when we were shooting the, what are they called? They're real guns. They're just not loaded with real ammunition, but it's simulation. And the guy's going through, okay, you got to hit this button, pull this, pull that, do that. And I was like, oh, that's a lot of information. But I go, luckily, Valentina's probably going to not do so well here, and I'll just kind of listen in what he tells her. Man, she went through that. Then she went over to me, and she goes, oh, all you got to do is bah, 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 bah. She did all these things with my weapon. I was like, whoa, what happened? And I asked her coach about it, and he goes, oh, yeah, we shoot all the time. We do. She does those little speed trials or whatever, and she loves it. She's really good at it, too.
She is. And then I was really dissecting it, and Pavel, the coach, when he had the AKA and he had it positioned in his shoulder, there's not as much movement as Valentina and is her sister's name Antonia or Antonetta?
I want to say Antonia.
Okay. Theirs jerks a little bit more, and I don't know if it's just because Pavel's stronger or has a better base or what, but that AKA just, it has so much torque, you know, and pop that it moves around a lot. But I was just kind of watching their technique a little bit. But Valentina's really, really good with the handgun. Really, really good. Here's the story that I wanted to talk about. I saw this late last night after I came back from the fireworks show over at the Red Rock. MMA fighter, ATT member Aaron Rajman shot dead.
Yeah.
So it sounded like a burglary, a home invasion. And there doesn't appear to be a motive. So in other words, the bad guys I don't think went in there with the intention of killing somebody. I guess because there was an encounter, that's how it went down. I mean, the details are sketchy, but either way, Aaron Rajman lost his life. And
sad, man.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the Rajman family, friends, and of course the ATT gym. A lot of the fighters have already expressed their feelings of sorrow. One, Tisha Torres, who had been on our show earlier that day, you know, she told a story about Rajman during her amateur days was the one cornerman she had on a fight or two, you know, when they would drive, and he obviously had her back, and so obviously that one has to hurt for her, and I'm sure the whole team. But I mean, that's something else where I was telling Juliet when we were coming home, hey, we had a great time, and her and I didn't drink or anything. But did you happen to step outside and see how many fireworks shows?
I was talking about it this morning with somebody, that there was a point in time where the entire sky was just lit up consistently for about an hour and a half, I think.
Right. And so I was watching.
And those couldn't have been all legal.
Danny, are you there?
Yep.
Try 224. Everything else is right.
Okay.
All right. And explain to him what happened, and hopefully he's still able to go. But dude, go. So on the way back from Summerlin, we went across Fort Apache, and like people just are camped there, and they're launching these things. And literally, it's, if you've ever been to like Disney World, Disneyland, and you see the fireworks show, and you go, oh wow, cool. That's what it felt like. It felt like I was watching about 100 Disneylands, and these are just people that are doing their own show. And so along Fort Apache, you know where there were those caves and all that are up there?
Yeah.
People were just parked. Cars were up there. And it was show after show after show. We went down Blue Diamond a little bit, like if we were going to go to Pahrump, except we just turned around at the first possible exit and came back. And then from that angle, it was just show after show after show. It was hilarious. I couldn't believe it. And the one at Red Rock was cool, but they honestly don't even have to have one if they don't want to.
Direct everybody to.
Yeah, they could just go, folks, you know, or that, or just turn around, enjoy because that little Summerlin area has a nice grass area, kind of like where families just go and kind of chill. So it was a really cool atmosphere. But really, I don't think they have to spend any money going forward. So
I'm not very well versed in fireworks, so I can't really tell you, oh, that's an M80, that's this, that's that. But I know there were a few of them that shook our house.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they're lighting off.
I know.
I was waiting for the penguin to pop through the door.
I don't see any cops regulating this or what, but it was amazing to me, because I know that in Santa Ana you can have your block party or I think there's one called 1776, and you know, have at it. Red Devil, Wildcat, whatever the fireworks are, have at it. But if you start doing the model rockets, the cops will come and they'll nail you, and some cities are illegal altogether. And I'm telling you, those little bottle rockets from the days in Santa Ana, California would be like the opening act to what I was watching yesterday. Jesus. All right, we're ready to go with Curtis Blaydes.
Oh.
We are going to talk to him right now. He is fighting Daniel Omalemchuk at UFC 213. What's up, Curtis? How you doing?
How you guys doing?
All right, well, thanks for joining the show, big man. You're on with George and Goes. Pleasure to have you on. And, dude, I'm really impressed. It has been fun watching you fight in the UFC. And even though that Ngannou fight didn't go the way I know you wanted it to, I can tell, man, you have a lot of skills. You're raw, and you just keep getting better. The East fight, you know, the Milstead fight, every single time I'm watching new wrinkles, and it's fun watching you develop.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Would you say, hey, man, stop calling me a prospect to anyone that calls you a prospect? Or do you, like, being that you're raw, are you still a prospect? Or do you feel like, hey, I'm in the UFC for a reason, I'm past that, I'm just a fighter that will continue to get better and be a champ one day?
I mean, it doesn't really, the word doesn't really faze me, but yeah, I do feel like I've passed the whole prospect space. It's like, you're only a prospect till you prove me your worth. I feel like I proved my worth in my debut fight. Even though I did lose, I feel like I showed I have the skill to hang with these guys. So yeah, I think I'm over the prospect thing, but the word doesn't really bother me. I don't care.
Do you ever sense that you're just one or two wins away from all of a sudden all the suits in the UFC and, you know, all the big names, I guess, that are involved in the sport, they just all of a sudden put their arm around you and you're all of a sudden their best friend. You know what I mean? Like I can always tell when someone's about to blow up and everyone starts to cozy next to that potential superstar. You think you're there yet?
I don't know. I don't think about that stuff, to be honest. I'm more worried about, like, as I move up, the level of competition is going to get tougher and tougher. That's really the only thing I'm thinking about. Like, I go from going against the guys like the Cody Easters of the world and Adam Milstead to going against the Arlovskis, the Struths, the Velasquez's. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. I'm not worried about who wants to be my buddy at the club. 'Cause I'm not really into going to the club anyway.
All right. Well, you watch. We'll talk in about a year, and we'll revisit this topic, and you'll see, man, a lot of people are going to come out because I think a lot of people see potential, and, of course, in the heavyweight division, you guys just become these mega stars. But anyway, let me turn it over to my co-host here. He's got a couple questions for you.
Curtis, would you say you're in any rush to get to that title shot?
Nope, I am not in a rush at all. I hate when people, like on the internet or even my own buddies, are like, "Oh yeah, you should call out this guy, call this guy." I'm like, well, why would I call him out if I'm only going to get paid the same amount? I might as well take on, like, do the ladder, build up my wins, and build up the money only goes up as you win. It doesn't go up if you beat a guy or the big name. It goes up just based off the number of wins. So I just want to get as many wins as I can, get to another contract, and then maybe then I'll start to hunt down the bigger name guys. But right now I'm content with just building up my resume, and I want to build skills also along the way. So yeah, I'm not in a rush to go for a title shot.
So money, the title, I know these can be motivating factors. What about the opponent himself? Could it just practically be anybody there on the other side? Are there certain guys that maybe pull something out of you?
The only guy that I really want is Ngannou. That's the only guy. Everyone else is like, I respect them. They're here for a reason, but I don't have any animosity. So anyone, I don't have any animosity towards Ngannou also, but he did beat me, and I would like to avenge that loss. So he's the only one that I like. I don't know. I think about. Before I got this fight, I never was like, yeah, I can't wait to fight Daniel Lynch yet. But here we are. We're going to fight, and that's it. I got no animosity, but we both got jobs to do.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you brought up that the pay scale topic. It's true. I guess there are a lot of times that even us as media, we're pushing for you all to call another name and to go up a ladder. But you're right. It is important, I guess, to slow things down and make sure that you are getting paid, you know, fairly when you do get to some of those bigger names. And in the heavyweight division, it's like all of a sudden you become that overnight superstar. It can happen really, really quick. So, yeah, that's a good point that you brought that up.
Yeah, that's just something I hear that a lot. Like, a lot of people are asking me to call out guys, and I'm like, I don't want to sound like I'm scared. I'm not scared. It just doesn't make any sense, like, for me to go take, because I respect these guys. So why would I take on a Mark Hunt for 25 and 25?
Yeah, I hear you.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, listen, we'll keep it short because we goofed. We had the wrong number. So sorry, apologies for getting you in late. And
I'm not in the rush. If you guys got time, I got time.
Oh, for real? All right.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything today.
Okay.
I'm underweight. So
I'll tell you what then. We're going to take a quick commercial, and then when we come back, you said you have a few minutes to talk with us.
Yeah.
All right, folks. We're going to take this quick break. We got Curtis Blaydes on hold, and he's going to chill with us for a few minutes here as we do this last break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
No rejoin, just come back.
All right, folks. Curtis Blaydes is going to stay with us here. What I just realized is that we're going to do a soft exit on the way out here, and we're going to stick around for a few minutes of overtime, so we will rejoin you guys in about 30 seconds. But just so you know, Curtis is clowning. He's hanging with us, but he's clowning. That's Naughty by Nature from Chicago, like Curtis Blaydes is, except he called it his daddy music. So we'll see if we can rally something to finish the show and come strong. If anybody has a suggestion, hit us up on Twitter at MMAJunkieGeorge, at The Goes, at MMAJunkie Radio. We'll take a look. And something hard that's being played nowadays in Chicago. This is going to be a quick exit. We'll join you guys in about 20 seconds for some overtime, and we'll be joined by Curtis Blaydes, UFC heavyweight, who's fighting at UFC 213 versus Daniel Omolenchik. We'll be right back.
Clear for overtime.
All right, so Curtis Blaydes, to be fair, we did ask you. You picked the song, and you said you're too hard, or we wouldn't like it, or something like that.
Music,
yeah.
Well, what is your music?
What is your music?
I'm not gonna lie. I know everyone's hating on the mumble rap, but I like the beats. I like Uzi. Yeah.
Okay.
Wiz Khalifa. Like, my music is very profanity laced, so I don't want you guys to play it on the radio.
Well, we're on Sirius XM, so we can play profanity laced, right? Right, Danny? I mean, there's no problem with that, right?
I don't know the rule.
For the most part.
All right. So I've heard of. I think you said Wiz Khalifa. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll play that. We'll play a little bit of that in a few minutes. Now, we kind of were rushing, but now we have a couple minutes because you're staying overtime here with us. You're fighting a guy that's a veteran of 17 fights, almost double of what you've had. Is that in any way scary for you? Because that's, 9 or 10 more training camps and 9 and 10 more fights that he's had in cages. So lots of experience. So when you are facing someone that out-experiences you like that, and is that in any way a concern for you?
No, because I'm pretty sure I'm probably one of the better opponents he's ever had. Cause I've heard this a lot about, like, the European heavyweights. They beat up on a lot of, like, I don't want to say bums, but that's the best word I can say. They beat up on a lot of bums, pad their records. So I'm pretty sure he hasn't faced anyone with my skill. So all those fights, they don't add up to. I've gone against Ngannou. I've gone against East. I've gone against. I think my resume speaks for itself. I think it should be about quality over quantity when it comes to, like, records.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. Who have you gone against? I watched him go against. He fought Struve, and I wasn't exactly impressed. And that was probably the toughest opponent he's had.
Okay. Now, at the same time, you've wrestled for a long time, and I know a lot of the wrestlers tell me that those wrestling matches alone are, they may not equate to an actual MMA fight, but they equate to competition just because that wrestling grind, those wrestling practices, the fact that you're wrestling against teammates for spots, they pretty much prepare you for an MMA career a lot better than a Taekwondo black belt or a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt or a judoka maybe. You agree with that?
I want to, but I don't want to disparage any other of the martial arts. Like, I'm not a judoka, so I don't know too much about judoka. I do practice jiu-jitsu. I can honestly say that wrestling is a better fit for offense than jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, for me, is purely defensive. I don't really use any of the offense. But yeah, I think wrestling is a pretty good base to have. Like, you can't go wrong with having 8 years of wrestling under your belt.
Do you have an all-time favorite wrestler?
Yeah, man, Jordan Burroughs.
Okay.
I know he's not the greatest ever, but he is great, and I like his style. He's always looking to score. The best defense is having the constant offense, and that's how I wrestle. That's how I fight.
There you
I
go.
don't like going back.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's too bad he wasn't able to get that gold medal because he's been on an incredible run. But I expect him to continue competing, and he has been amazing to watch.
I agree. I love his style. I love how explosive the guy is. That's how I like to think of myself as a heavyweight compared to him, as an explosive guy. That's what I want to be.
Do you have a favorite boxer, pro boxer?
The only guy I really watch is Deontay Wilder.
Okay. You think he's got something for Anthony Joshua and maybe Klitschko, or do you think he still needs a little bit more seasoning?
I think Deontay can win. Like, he can lose also, but I think he's very, very. He's so long. He's so strong. He has all like the physical attributes. Sometimes I feel like he gets a little wild, and that could be his undoing. But if he can handle that, like the mental aspect and like the mental warfare, he definitely has the physical attributes to beat any of those guys.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I'm not a boxer, so I don't want people blowing me up on Twitter or whatever. Like, I'm not a boxer, guys.
Yeah, no worries. And if they do, just write back, "Shut up, fool." That's all it takes. I'm an expert at that, shutting people down on Twitter and Instagram. And I'm telling you, if you keep it simple, it works. All right, and lastly, how about a favorite pro wrestler? Because it's kind of fun here getting to know a little bit about who you like and what you like and all that. And everybody at some point watch some pro wrestling. I'm sure you have a favorite pro wrestler, right?
I'm not going to lie. I don't have anything against pro wrestlers, but I don't like pro wrestling because it messes up the image of actual like wrestlers. Like, you wouldn't believe how many people they came to my high school wrestling matches and were like, "Yo, how come the referee didn't do the wave thing?" I'm like, that's not cool. Like, I just hate that. I don't have anything against them, but I really don't watch. I don't support. I don't go. I watch real wrestling. No offense.
Wow. So you had homies that would go to your wrestling matches, and let's say you were getting ready to pin someone. They were expecting the ref to lift up the other guy's arm like Hulk Hogan to see if he was still in it?
Yeah. I'm like, that's not how it goes. But I don't blame them because that's what they see. That's what the media puts out there way more. So I can't blame them. But it can be frustrating, you know?
What about on the entertainment side? On the entertainment side, there has to be like Stone Cold or The Rock or someone had to crack you up with their ability to captivate an audience and talk a little bit of smack.
I used to like I like the Hardy Boys and I like Rikishi.
Rikishi, that's right. What was Stinkface or Stinkass? What do you call it?
It's probably Stinkface. This is where he put his
ass on you. Right? Yeah. Oh man, I don't know how someone would sign up for that. I mean, don't you have another finishing move? Can't you pile drive me through a table?
You gotta be kind of like
or something.
What he's eating for lunch too, right? Like,
oh,
hit that salad bar.
That's a sweaty, big ass in your face, man. I don't know about that move, but yeah, he owned it. And the other ones, the Hardy Boys, was a great choice because those guys were death-defying killers up in the air.
They just came back too.
They did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good choices there, Curtis.
Yeah, I used to play a video game on PlayStation, so that's why I kind of know. But then when I started doing like actual wrestling, I stopped playing video games.
PlayStation? Let me ask my daddy about that.
Oh, you got him back.
Like that, Curtis Blaydes.
Oh, he got you back. All right. Well, listen, man. Goes, you have anything more for Curtis Blaydes?
Nah, we're all
You're all good? All right, cool. It was great for you to stick around for an extra 10 minutes and us joke around here. Give us a prediction for Omolenchik. What's going down in that fight with you and Omolenchik on Saturday? How does it end, Curtis Blaydes?
That's some point, either because I rock them or just because I'm fast enough, I'm going to get underneath them. I'm going to get a takedown. That'll be ground and pound.
There you go. All right, Curtis, thanks, man, for doing the show. Some extra time here. And folks, follow him on Twitter at RazorBlades265. There's a Y in Blades. And Curtis, you want to say anything to your fans before we let you go?
Just be ready for a show. I won't be a boring fight. I always want to bring some excitement to the heavyweight ranking. So just keep an eye out for me.
We sure will, man. All right, bud. Thanks for the time. Good luck on Saturday night. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
All right. We'll see you. All right, folks. Instagram, also RazorBlades265. Give him some love. Tell him you heard him on the @MMAjunkie radio show. All right, folks. That is it. I want to thank Anthony Pettis, Curtis Blaydes, Terrion Ware, Cody Stamann. Boy, Cody Stamann was like over 2 hours ago that he was in here. But time flies here. And, of course, Rob Font. Thank you to Jason House and Ed Cap for making the first 3 interviews happen. And, of course, Paige from the UFC for making the last 2 happen. The calls were great. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. We have Valentina Shevchenko and another person joining us. Can't name them yet. But anyway, for Danny and Goes, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.